The first story didn't really go wrong so much as it was gross. My desk/office chair broke. I called the manufacturer, and they agreed to send me a new part for it, but it would be a few weeks until it got there. I didn't want to use a hard, uncomfortable chair for 2 weeks, so I got on Craigslist and found a guy selling an office chair for $15 near me. The pic looked good. I called him, and he still had it. I got to his place, and when I arrived, he was outside cleaning his car. He took me into the garage and showed me the chair. It had a huge stain down the middle of the seat, like he had shit the chair or sat on it naked and let his juices flow into it. I declined to buy it, and when he asked why, I told him I doubt anyone will buy a chair with his ass stain on it. The second one was when I bought a storage unit that had an older electric organ in it. The thing was very heavy and, as it turned out, not worth a whole lot. I tried selling it a few different ways and finally put it on Craigslist for $100. A guy called and agreed to buy it. When he shows up, he tries it. It works fine, and then he wants to pay $50 for it. I told him, no, we had agreed on $100. He then saw how heavy it was, which I had told him twice before he came, and told me I should knock $50 off because of how hard it was going to be to load. When I wouldn't budge on price, he started getting more and more angry with me, and finally said that I should have told him I was firm on the price. I told him I had. It was in the ad, and I told him that when we talked via email and when talked on the phone. Finally, I told him that if he wasn't interested in buying it, I understood, but I was going to have to ask him to leave. He stormed out. Over the next few days, he apologized via email a few times and called a few times wanting to come back and buy it. I agreed, and he came back. This time, he tells me that clearly I am not getting a lot of offers, so I should sell it to him for $50. I told him it is $100. He can buy it for that, or he can leave. He left. He then sent me emails, threatening to report me to Craigslist because I wouldn't haggle with him. It actually worked out for the best, though. Another Craigslist user emailed, and told me those organs have tubes in them, and those tubes are likely worth more than the organ. I looked it up, and he was right. I ended up taking out the tubes and selling them on eBay for about $200, and the bench that it had with it turned out to be a designer bench that I was able to sell for $150. So, the freaky haggling guy did me a favor. I was almost at the moment where I was about to sell it to him at the price he wanted just to get him to leave. Had he stuck around much longer arguing with me, I would have either just sold it to him or called the police. Luckily, when I told him the price was firm, and he had to either agree to buy it at that price or leave, thankfully he left. That is my one worry with Craigslist, is you never know what kind of person you are going to meet and how crazy they might be. Last of 3 short stories, I also had some scrap sheet metal I needed hauled off from an old carport that collapsed and looked on Craigslist to find someone to do it. I saw so many ads of people offering to pick up scrap metal for free, and in the ad, it said, "Not a tweaker." Finally, the guy I went with was local and turned out to be very cool. I asked him about the tweaker thing, and he said a lot of drug addicts collect the metal to turn it in for quick money, but they might then come back where you are and try to rob you later. Great. About 10 years ago, I was trying to sell my Mazda Miata on Craigslist. My friend took some pictures of the car for me and put them online. All the people that I had talked to on the phone were older men who seemed to have not read the description at all, asking me basic questions that were in the ad that I posted. It seemed a little weird, because I guess I was expecting someone like me to be drawn to that car. At the time, I was a 19-year-old female. Anyway, the calls started getting creepier and creepier until finally I had a man call who wanted me to see it. I was trying to find a public place, but he kept insisting we meet at my house. He wouldn't even talk to me about anything related to the car and just kept asking where I lived and what my cross streets were, as if I'd be dumb enough to meet him at my house. After the call with him got really weird, I hung up on him and he kept calling back, asking where I live. I went online to remove the ad and realized my friend had taken a picture of the car that had me in it. That explained a lot. I once posted a leftover waffle from breakfast in the free section. I actually got a lot of people telling me they would come over and eat it. I declined, as I was worried I would end up having a terribly wrong Craigslist story that could be shared on YouTube. I'm a firefighter. A couple of years ago, I'm backstep on an engine company working on one of the nights of our tour. The tone goes off and dispatch frantically dispatches my engine and one of our ambulances to a gunshot victim. We arrive on scene right behind the ambulance, only to find a male in his late teens laying unresponsive on the ground with an entry wound to his chin. No respiration, no pulse. We begin CPR. As we cut all his clothes off, we discovered that he'd been shot in the lower abdomen and the chest. So, as we later uncovered, the story was that he'd responded to a Craigslist ad from a guy selling headphones. Our victim had been responding to ads on Craigslist, meeting people in quiet areas, and then robbing them at gunpoint. He'd also just recently gotten out of jail. Well, the guy selling the headphones was a bit suspicious of the meeting place and asked his friend, who happens to be a county corrections officer, to come along. When the victim arrived, he pulled a gun on them, and the corrections officer opened the passenger door to use as cover, drew his sidearm, and discharged 3 rounds in a zipper fashion upwards into the victim. Our ambulance transported the guy, but he didn't make it. My buddy, who is also now a county corrections officer, told me that the guy who shot the victim continues to be out on stress leave and is possibly leaving the profession. Yes, it all went terribly wrong. If you are enjoying the videos on my new channel and would like to see more, please like, subscribe, and comment below. I also encourage you to send in your well-written true stories. I will continue to keep bringing you the very best true story videos. Thank you.